tell me about the bar?
The bar?
The bar in the ISS or wherever?
Well, so in... not on ISS.
Okay, where was the bar?
So the bar was in Star City, Russia.
Oh, okay.
And the first commander of the space station was Bill Shepard, with Yuri Gudzinko and Sergei Krikalev. And so the support team built this bar in cottage number 3, where I lived, in the basement. And we called it Shep's Bar because Shep was the commander. And so it was a place where, Russians, everyone came. And we talked, and it was a weight room there, and everything happened around the bar. So, and I guess, we have a table on the space station. It's not a bar, but people congregate around this table to break bread and to tell stories about the day and their family. And so it's an extension of that bar there, and I'm sure on Mars there will be.
And the Russians don't bring vodka up? I mean,
I'm
not buying that.
I've never seen vodka or have had vodka in space.
Okay. One other question then. The dog. You talked about the dog. We haven't seen season 2. Is there a dog in season 2? And is there a value in bringing an animal to a colony?
I think the value of exploring is to bring the things that make you feel comfortable, that make you feel happy, that bring the cultural aspects of your community from your place where you lived to this new place, and build new traditions too. So this animal may be doing different things on a Martian surface than it would be on a...
Is there a dog in season 2?
There are different things in season 2. There are different creatures in season 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Next question.
Is there a rabbit in season 2?
Is there a goldfish? But there's a big snake.
Okay, so based on your experience of interactivity and community in real life in space, do you see that we can sustain, or we as humans can sustain that, colonizing Mars, or are we going to continue to replicate the current science version clash that's happening now? Can we learn from the mistakes of business and its successes, or we just keep repeating it?
I think...
And this is based on your own experience,
right?
What you experienced in space.
Yeah, I mean, I think I existed in a solely government-run space station. So space shuttle, space station, all this stuff was all government-run, and there was not the driver that we have for this commercial interest. We're moving, it's shifting a little bit now with, we're looking at getting commercial vehicles taking, U.S. astronauts to space. But this tension between the scientific mission and the commercial, we got to make the money. We got to pay the stockholders. We got to pay the investors. And is the backhoe that's trying to lay the pipe for the water system going to disrupt the field that the scientists are actually studying, the geological changes on the Martian surface? And that happens right here on this planet right now, with people encroaching on each other's space, right? Now, Mars is really big. There's not a lot of people there, so there's a lot of space that maybe people can spread out a little bit. But when these two entities come together, that's where the tension lies. And that's where you need, and if there are no policies or laws that say who owns what, then it has to be good leadership. Because both have to coexist in a way that's harmonious, or everyone dies, or everyone falters. And I truly believe that we need to go into this in a way that there's good leadership.
And the kind of leadership that needs to happen in a colonization or in space.
Yes, the people you pick.
Is that the same kind of leadership that you might see on Earth in business, running anything else?
Well,
or is it a specific type?
It's a specific type of leadership because it's a very hostile environment, and people here that are in leadership positions, unless there's tornadoes or unless there's a zombie apocalypse or something comes that's just crazy, they're not going to have to react in ways that are the same way that you would to save someone's life in like 1 minute if something gets depressurized. You have to react in a way that's systematic, taking control and being able to shut other things down to solve the problem or everyone dies. And that's the same thing on space station, same thing on space shuttle. The commander has the leadership role to trump any other words that are said. It says, you shut up, you do this, and you're supposed to do it. That's how it is, because it's a life or death situation.
Now, once we land on Wednesday, then this is the theoretical. Once you land on Mars and things started to kind of calm down, a lot of innovation goes out of horizontal structure,
right.
As opposed to vertical.
Right.
And does that shift need to then happen, or
So,
does it have to stay vertical?
well, when you get to a place where the criticality of decision making doesn't cause people to die, then it can go horizontal. But and there's some tipping point between the two, based on the criticality of what people are doing. So if you're flying a helicopter on Mars, and if the person flying it, doesn't really know what they're doing, the commander needs to take over and say, I've got the stick now, and that person has to relinquish, because that person's in charge of that part of the mission. When I was in space station, I was in charge of the robotic arm. I was in charge of moving the robotic arm, and I could tell anyone that, hey, this is what you need to do to support me, or go away because you're not helping me. So you have a resident expert who can do those things. So vertical, horizontal, I think it depends on the criticality of the task that's being done.
I have another follow, but I don't want to usurp the two.
Anyone else?
I have something. Do we over romanticize space too much? Being there is obviously different than what I would think it is. So, and we, because of our fiction, we look at it, going back to like Buck Rogers and things like that. So do you think that happens? And when you're really there, it's like, oh, it's not like that at all. It's cold. It's actually a little lonely at times.
I think anything that's new that you explore, and it's been talked about, and it's been dreamed about, and it's fantasy and magical and science fiction and all this, it's romanticized. I mean, it's just by default, because you don't know what it is. The stars. Oh, what are they? What are they? What is that up there? You write poems about it, and you dream about it. But once you get there, on the space station, I'm thinking I'm going to look out the window and see all this beauty, which I did. But the toilet, everything floats. If I don't do this right, there's going to be stuff everywhere, right? So there are moments in your experience in space that are mundane. You got to clean the filters. You got to make sure you put all your stuff away, because your underwear are going to float in someone's face while they're working on the robotic arm, and then everyone dies. So there is a mundane part of that, but that's part of living. It's anywhere. But the flip side is you do get these views, and you do get this collaboration with people that we used to fight against. I'm there with Russians and Germans and French and first female commander and African American and Asian American. It's like a Benetton commercial, It's like we're all just working together happily, knowing that if we don't support each other, we all die. And that's beautiful. Because flying over Afghanistan, you're looking down and you're like, there's some stuff going on down there that's not good, and other places that you see. So I think if more people could have the chance to go to space and look back at the planning in that way and get this positive overview effect, I think more people will come together. And so if that's a romanticized piece, I think it's a romanticized, but it's also a reality. It was a reality for me. Yeah.
You're obviously the only one amongst us who's been to space. You're the only one amongst us who's probably worked with that many cultures in space.
Taking the right medication.
Yeah. Really been to space. Physically.
Like I said.
What have you learned from those other cultures that you think we should bring in as we move to Mars?
I tell a story. When I went to Russia for the first time, I was learning Russian, and I didn't know it that well. I was walking across this field, and these two little boys came up to me, and they said what I thought was the N-word. I thought they were calling me the N-word. And I took a 10-second pause, and I said, what are they, this over here, okay, but they were saying, hey, black man, we want to say hi. They didn't know how to say it, but nigra is the word for black in Russian. And so taking a beat, taking a pause to understand other cultures, other languages, that's what it taught me. And people don't always understand each other right away, but I think people are intrinsically good for the most part. There's some bad apples everywhere in every, culture. But I think people fundamentally want to try to do the right thing. And so in space, Hans and Yuri and all these people, we were just like, hey, let's make this happen. And granted, we had worked together before, and we were this elite group of people, 560 people that have flown in space out of 7 billion. But I think that can translate down to more people if they understand the beauty and the wonder of this one blue marble that we have, and then extending that to another surface, whether it's Mars, Moon, wherever it is that same cultural and human identity. To want to work together as one race.
Work in engineering together in addition to outreach, educational outreach?
The only engineering that I'm doing right now is when my tractor breaks down and I'm having to fix it because I have these acres that I have to cut, and if I don't cut it, the grass grows too tall. I have to get someone to bush hog it for like $75 an hour. So I'm learning how to be a better engineer and be a more efficient engineer by necessity.
Isn't that what the show is about?
Yeah. Is that what?
Isn't that what the show is about?
Well, there's aspects of that too.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't call up the next vehicle to come save the day right away. It takes some time to get there. So and that's what we train to do as astronauts. We are trained to be the equivalent of the Maytag repairman in space. If something breaks, you got to fix it. And if you don't have the spare parts to fix it, you rig it, you figure it out. And with 3D printing, which is a whole other aspect of technology that's helping us do things on the fly, that's another piece that's really going to be a game changer. Whether it's 3D printing food or materials or whatever. Yes.
We have 2 minutes left.
I would go to Mars if it was a round trip. I would not do the one-way trip to Mars because if I can take my dogs I'd probably want to do the round trip. I would want to go. Yeah. I think I'm an explorer intrinsically, and I think it's a beautiful journey, and it also depends on who you go with. It's not, and we've always said as astronauts, it's not about the mission that you get, it's about the crew that you get. And so if you're with the right people, you go anywhere with them. Yeah. It's about the journey.
Does that kind of team stay together years? I mean, do you keep in touch with the people?
We have astronaut reunions every 2 years, and lots of times in Houston, so a lot of the Russians come back, the other astronauts come back, and we break bread and we tell stories, and it's fascinating. It's really fascinating to keep up with the families and the children, and
so it really does become a cohesive,
it does,
like a long lasting.
It does.
Is there anything on the show you didn't agree with? How it turned out?
I haven't seen all the episodes for season 2 yet, so I haven't been able to make that assessment yet. But what I did see, it was to me, it was realistic. Yeah, it was accurate. Yeah, and the combination of documentary and realism with experts talking about what can really happen, Elon and Neil, and it's fascinating. Hybrid.
When you see the Earth from the space station, besides the beauty of it, do you also see that it's kind of fragile? It's a little blue ball, literally, that's in the vastness of space, and there's nothing else?
Earth is not fragile. We are fragile. If climate change continues to go on, we will be burped out of here, and the Earth will figure it out. The Earth will keep going and fix itself, and things will be okay. Mother Earth will be fine. It's us. So it's not about this fragile planet. It's about these fragile humans. that are impacting this magnificent Earth to make it fragile for us. I mean, I saw the Amazon burning from space. It was being burned to have cows. So our penchant for red meat, so we can have more red meat coming to whatever country needs the most red meat. And so these trees are going away. They're keeping us cool and changing the climate. And, yeah. I can see sediment in rivers from deforestation, and you see all
Fascinating book on that is World Without Us.
World Without Us.
Yeah, it actually is. I'm reading it now. It tracks. If we all knew what would happen physically
To the Earth. Interesting.
Fascinating.
World Without Us. Okay, I'm downloading it now.
Do you think a mission to Mars is crucial for human survival?
I think exploration is crucial for human survival, and Mars is in that exploration path. I think this current administration the moon is a target point right now. Cislunar orbit for the space station to be a launching pad to go to moon or Mars. But I think as we continue to evolve and the technology gets better, Moore's law and all these things, that we will have the technology to go there just like we were going on vacation somewhere. I mean, Total Recall maybe. Floss in Paradise from what was that? Bruce Willis in Fifth Element. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to happen eventually. It's just when.